Live your next 40 years on your terms. Hi, I'm Pharmacist Keith. Recently I did a rant on Facebook Live that was geared towards 50-year-olds, and I got quite a few responses from that. Today, I want to be presumptuous. I want to give you the audacity, the empowerment. That's a word people like to use all the time. I want to empower you to actually go out and do something. Say you're 45, 50 years old, or you're 56 years old like me. This is something that's just not talked about enough. Folks, it's not over. You're not on the downhill slide. It's not too late for you. If there are things that you wish you had accomplished in your life, now is not the time to give up. If there are things you want so bad, if it's in you, now's not the time to take up golf or to pack it all in. Now's the time to actually triple down and really focus on your 7 p.m. to 2 in the morning. There's so many people out there that truly are good entrepreneurs or have entrepreneurial DNA, but like me, they just weren't lucky enough to be born during an era where that seemed practical. We weren't brought up in an era where entrepreneurship was something that was talked about, much less encouraged. You know, it's hard for somebody who's worked 30 or 40 years now and has gone down a certain path, has followed a certain blueprint, to understand that entrepreneurship is realistic, you know, when your life has been following a certain path. Sometimes you feel like being an entrepreneur, a business owner, that's a young man's sport. It's not. It's just not. If you've got the right DNA and you're a 72-year-old female, you've got just as good of a chance as a 27-year-old dude right out of college. Think about it. You probably have a better chance. I know you've been trained and you've been sold a story that you've just got to overcome, folks. You were told when you were 18 or 20 or 22 years old to go to school, to get a good job, to work 40 years, and then retire on 40 to 60% of the income that you couldn't really have lived on while you were working. You've been positioned to live a life of quiet desperation. You've been conditioned that this thing in here, the aspirations, the dreams, you've been conditioned that those just aren't practical. I don't accept that. Folks, entrepreneurship is not predicated on taking away time from your family. So stop making excuses. Sometimes we think these millennial kids, you know, they're so entitled, or we think these kids, they just don't have to work as hard as we did. You know, nobody cares if you're 40, 70, 90, an alien, a female, a male, a minority. The market's going to accept your victories if you're good enough to have a victory, if you work hard enough to win. And believe me, more than ever, if you're a 49-year-old housewife with 2 kids, because of the cell phone, you've got more opportunity to create something for yourself today than we did when we were 22 years old. Please, my friends, do not allow just the 18 or that 14 or that 22-year-old kid to grab at this pie. It's available to all of us, regardless of our age. Folks, we're going to live longer. The opportunity is real. The 58-year-old right now that's watching this, you're possibly going to live another 40 years. The choice is yours. Are you going to live those next 40 years in quiet desperation? Or are you going to live those next 40 years being able to do something that you love? It's a big deal. Start putting in the work. Start recognizing this isn't just a young person's game. Start representing the people that actually put in the work. The gray hairs, let's put those things in context. That's knowledge. That's life experiences. Start deploying it. Educate yourself on the new world. Yes, you didn't grow up with Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Heck, you didn't even grow up with computers, email, or even the internet. But you learned it. Folks, you didn't grow up knowing how to drive a car either. But you learned that, didn't you? You didn't grow up with the skills that you developed in your current job. But you learned them. So stop making excuses. Start getting educated in the actual world and start opening up on the opportunities. In my humble opinion, if you can get out of your own way, you're actually more likely to be successful in building a business at 45, at 50, at 56 than any of the 18-year-olds that are starting out, because there's a naivety, a lack of experience that they possess. You've got experience. You've got life experiences and work experiences. You know, that's a real thing. Youth and excitement, you know, it's great and it's going to carry the younger folks so far, but you've got actual practical business experience. You've got plenty of talent. You know, there's a ton of fire and bravado, and there's confidence, and there's all that confidence that youth provides. But you have life experiences. The difference between me and so many of you is I'm putting in a lot of work, a lot of self-development, personal development, to learn how to expand my horizons. I'm learning where people are right now, you know, where their attention is, and I'm deploying myself. I'm creating options for myself. This video, I made this for one reason. I want it to be a calling card, a wake-up call, the seed of explosion of the 40 and 50 and 60-year-old entrepreneur, the folks that grew up in the 60s and 70s and 80s, those of us that were lied to and were taught that the only way to be successful in life was to follow that 40-year plan. The fire that I see in the eyes of the 19 and 20 and 25-year-olds, that they feel like they're into success, that's something that we should have. We should embrace it instead of, on the flip side, the diminishing hope from folks our age. Folks like us, that back at 22, we were taught the 40-year plan. And now we're 46, 56 years old. And the practicality of family dynamics and in our job, you know, the history of what we've learned through the years and the marketplace, it's just tearing us down. The hope's just dwindled down to, at the moment, where we don't believe that we've got a shot anymore. I'm here to tell you, you absolutely do. There are absolutely a ton of entrepreneurs that started in their 40s and 50s back in the 1960s and 1970s when it was difficult to do such a thing. Sidney Frank, who created Grey Goose, he didn't invent that until his 70s. Think about a local favorite, Colonel Sanders. He was 65 years old and was turned down over 1,000 times before he was successful with his famous recipe. I have a friend of mine that was a dead broke, out of work alcoholic in his 40s when he got sober, turned his life around, and now in his 60s is making 6 figures per month. I'm so desperate. I'm desperate to give you a springboard to say, you know what? Instead of watching House of Cards or whatever it is you're watching on TV now, instead of trying to go to the basketball games and things like that, yeah, I'm spending that time doing what I need to do to change my life. Yeah, many times I'm working on my dreams until 2 in the morning, Monday through Friday, even the weekends. Heck, for a lot of you, the kids are finally out of the house. I mean, let's get into practicality here. It's if you're a 40 or 50 or 60-year-old and you're watching this rant and the kids are out of your house, I mean, yeah, you could go and you could pick up golf or bingo or something like that. Or you can finally start working on a business that's going to give you the means to take care of your retirement years, to take those retirement years to the next level, to possibly generate generational wealth for your family. Folks, it happens. Figure out the opportunity at hand. Go attack it. You only live once. When you're 90 or 100 years old, do you want to regret that you never chased your dream and you let that era pass you by? This moment where there's so much entrepreneurial upside going on, you're going to regret it. And you're going to regret it in the biggest way. That's why it's, at least the way I see it, I didn't stop until midnight last night, actually until 2 in the morning last night, and almost every night. It's just real. You know, I don't have to, but I'm building my future and my kids' future. I don't know. I think there's a real opportunity to inspire a generation that so much deserves it. Almost like being 56, I feel like I'm caught right in the middle. I've got so much empathy for folks that are my age that have just given up. I recognize how insane that is. You know, a 15-year-old now in school that's getting D's in school, but is selling a ton of crap on the internet. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to be the next Zuckerberg. Folks, when I was a kid, it was like, unless you go to school and you get good grades and you get that job in corporate America and put in your 40 years, unless you did that, then you weren't going to be successful. You know, so insanely different today. But you know, there is a better way. I know you're in your 40s and 50s and early 60s, and you know, you're now realizing that you can barely live on your current income, and you're starting to worry how you're going to live on 40 or even 60% of what you're making right now when you retire. Or maybe you're like me, and during this economic downturn we've gone through, that you lost your job and in the process lost the retirement that you had as well. Or even if you're like most folks, you never even saved for your retirement in the first place because you were caught up in making sure that your kids had the best education that you could possibly give them. Maybe you're like me and you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, to have your own business, but you didn't do it because you put the security of your kids and your family first. I get it. I've lived it, folks. But you know what? It's not too late. You can still live your dream. You can take your life experiences and put those into building your own entrepreneurial enterprise. Now's the time for you. Folks, I can help you. Let me give you a little bit of background. Folks, since 1977 at Butler High School, in Marvin Wins's distributive education class, I've had this little entrepreneurial flame inside me. But I'm sure like you, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the internet back then and all the other resources that the kids have today. I did the safe thing, like most of the other people in my generation. I jumped on that 40-year plan. In my early 20s, I tried my hand in financial services and life insurance. I did okay. I put food on the table, but I still didn't know how to take it to that next step into the entrepreneurship. I wasn't making the income that I really wanted to and I needed to for my family. I didn't know how to get there. I wasn't successful. I decided to go back to the safe plan, the 40-year plan. And I went back to college to become a pharmacist. While in pharmacy school, I was introduced to a guy named Dale Calvert, and he tried to show me that there was a better way, an entrepreneurial way. I turned it down, and I stuck with the 40-year plan. It was safe. It was comfortable. Dale and the folks that were around him went on to earn multiple million-dollar incomes. But I chose the safe way. While in pharmacy school, I did work on my entrepreneurial spirit a little bit. I opened one of the very first online nutritional supplement and e-commerce websites. I wasn't expecting to get rich from it. Just looking to make a few extra bucks each month. It failed. This was the beginning of the internet, before PayPal. Nobody trusted giving their credit card numbers out online back then. In the early 2000s, I read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I learned about the power of multiple streams of income, the power of leveraged income. But I was working 60, 70 hours per week. I didn't have time to actively pursue another business, but I understood the power of multiple streams of income. I decided to put my passion for what's called orthomolecular nutrition. That's the study of using nutrition and supplements to reduce, or prevent diseases. I decided to put that passion into use, and I went back into e-commerce. This time I wrote blog posts and did video blogging, and even became a guest expert on nutrition on radio programs, and eventually even did some public speaking to drive sales to my e-commerce site. I finally started having some success, making a few $100 from YouTube ads and occasional sales, but nothing to quit my job over. It was just additional income. Finally, in 2012, a year into a 2-year stint of unemployment, things started to change for me. I was working temp pharmacist assignments but I wasn't getting full-time work. So things were getting tight. By the end of 2011, we had used up all of our savings, and we seriously were starting to contemplate selling our dream home, the one we built with our own blood, sweat, and tears. I had the opportunity to meet someone right before Christmas that had started a company in his garage many years before. And that company is now worth over 150 millions. I explained, to him my situation. And he told me that he could show me how to create that extra income while I was still working as a pharmacist, while I was still doing those gigs. So in January, I took his advice. This is January 2012. And by that summer, I was earning enough income to save my house. I was even able to buy a car to replace my Malibu that was falling apart, a Cadillac CTS. I paid for it with cash. Didn't have to borrow money for it. I spent that year once a month reinvesting some of the income into myself, traveling across the country, meeting with different multiple million-dollar income earners, meeting with them one-on-one to find out what drives them and what they did to have their success. I learned a lot from them. And I'm implementing a lot of what they taught me today. Finally, by the end of 2012, I was offered a pharmacist position that I wanted, and I accepted it. It was safe, it paid well, it provided excellent retirement benefits, but I still did the other gig. Still did it on the side. And to this day, I still receive a check every single month from the business that I generated all the way back in January 2012. This past year and a half, life got in the way of spending a lot of time on my entrepreneurial efforts. My daughter was getting married, so I had a wedding to prepare for. I injured my neck and my shoulder lifting weights. And I had some other extended family members deal with the illnesses that I had to help them deal with. So for the past year and a half, that entrepreneurial thing, it's been on the back burner. But I still got paid. That's the power of residual income. It's amazing. Think about it, residual income. That's the kind of income people like Lady Gaga or Steven Spielberg or J.K. Rowling's, that's the kind of income they get. They've worked on something once and they're still getting paid on it. I'm still getting paid on my efforts from all the way back in January 2012. Well, all that's behind me now. All the issues with the family and helping my daughter get married and all that, that's all behind me now. This post is more about motivating myself more than anything else, to get me to take things to that next level. My entrepreneurial thing that I started a few years back, now I'm going to start taking the time to delve more into it more deeply. I'm still working as a pharmacist. Sure, that's bread and butter, it's safe money. But that entrepreneurial thing, I saw what it could do just in that first year. Being able to save my house and buy that car. So now if I concentrate on this entrepreneurial thing, I know I can take it to the next level. And I'm generating different streams of income. Not just one stream of income, but multiple streams. Folks, I've got a couple goals in life. Actually, there's three things I like to help people with. One of them is, as a pharmacist, I want to help people get off their pharmaceuticals and improve their health and prevent disease without pharmaceuticals. And that's one of my goals in life, is to help folks do that. But the other two things, which are more related to this video, is I want to help two groups of people. I've got a 22-year-old that went to college and has student loans, actually two of them. And they're paying on those student loans. And it's something that they're going to have for a while. So one of the things I want to do is I want to help folks like them, those 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, even some of the 40-year-olds that are still paying on their student loans. I want to show them that there's a way to generate extra income to help get out of that debt. An extra income that they can get while they're working whatever else they're working right now. A lot of people earning the extra $500, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month will do a lot for them. No, they're not going to be able to quit their jobs on that, but they'll be able to get out of debt, pay everything off. The other group of people that I want to help are people in my age group, 40s, 50s, 60s, that are realizing that they haven't saved enough for retirement or any at all, that realize that what they have saved isn't going to support them with the lifestyle that they have right now, much less a bigger lifestyle. I want to help those folks as well. I want to help them earn an extra $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month. If you had an extra $2,000 a month at 56 years old going into your retirement plan, you'd have a decent retirement plan by the time you get there. And if it's an income that is a residual income that continues to come in, that's even better. That's my goal. That's what I want to do now. So, if you have interest, if you want to learn more about what it is I'm doing, if you want me to show you how to create an extra $500, extra $1,000, extra $2,000 a month, if you want to pursue your entrepreneurial dreams like me, my goal is to earn an even larger income so I can get away from pharmacy, so I can live the lifestyle that I want. If that's something that you're interested in, that has piqued your interest, or that you'd like to learn more about, reach out to me. I want to talk with you. I'm not going to try to sell you something. I'm not going to try to force you into something. I'm not going to try to trick you into something. Just want to have a conversation. Maybe what I'm doing is something that would work for you. If not, I've got some other entrepreneurial ideas that might work for you as well. Or after talking with you, you may decide to pursue something else. It's fine. That's perfectly fine with me. I have a website. It's called Aim High Energy. AIMHIGHENERGY. And there's just a little short video on there of me ranting again. But there's a little questionnaire on that website as well. Fill that out. Hit the enter button, and then I'll give you a call, and we'll set up a time where we can just talk about what you put on the form, talk about your life, talk about what your goals and your dreams are, what your aspirations are. Just talk. If it's something that I can help you with, we'll take things to the next level. If not, that's perfectly fine. Let's just talk. Thanks again for watching this video. I look forward to talking to you soon.